The following podcast is sponsored by Words and Pictures Comics, located at 2610 Center Street, number 6. Words and Pictures is your one-stop shop for vintage back issues and cutting-edge graphic novels. Awesome service, great shop. Check them out. Welcome, everyone, to episode 240 of Just Joshing. I'm your host, Joshua Penteleresco. I write stuff and podcast too. Today, my guest is Ramel Hill, who is working on currently a Kickstarter for his latest comic book projects. We get into that. We literally have him get funded as we talk on the show. It was actually a really cool thing to be a part of. Ramel is an awesome dude. You should definitely check this conversation out. It was a lot of fun. I do have a winner for my next giveaway. Unfortunately, as of the time I went to record this, I have not heard back from the winner. If I hear back, I will announce it Monday. If I don't hear back from her between now and then, I will probably at that point, pick another winner, as I do have other people I can choose from. But she won, fair and square, and congratulations. But yeah, and my next book will be given out this Monday. I gotta choose the next one. I got a really fun one for the next edition, and I'm excited. So yeah, things are moving in the direction I kind of envisioned. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be going to Emerald City Comic Con. The reason for that is for the remainder of this week, I'm going to be working on Alice Zero. I want to get that done and ready to go because I'm going to be at Creative Inc. at the end of this month, and I kind of want things to go really well that way. So I want to have another book ready. I want to get on to the next book, which will be released in the summertime, which is The Cloud Diver. So all in all, I have been nothing but busy this year, and it's been a lot of fun so far. Good luck to my buddy Dwayne Clayton for launching his next book, Outlaw, tomorrow at Owl's Nest Books. You should definitely check that out. Beyond that, man, man, I'm hoping that you enjoy the conversation coming up. Let's just get to it, shall we? I have officially started recording. If you have anything incriminating you'd like to say, please make it good.
I'm ready.
You're ready? You ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great, man. I cannot complain. I just launched a Kickstarter on Friday morning, and I am $75 away from being funded. So I am so excited about getting these books out to people. I'm excited about finishing up the colors on the books. It's going to be another step in my evolution as a creator. Getting 4 books out at one time to people.
Hey, dude, first off, congrats. That's awesome. So I take it comics have been a passion for you for a long time?
Forever. Ever since I can remember reading, actually. I always used comics as like a escape. It was like, if I couldn't, I grew up in a big family, so I couldn't always get a chance to grab the TV and watch what I wanted to watch. But throw a comic at me, and I'm gone. I can go to my corner and escape for 15, 20 minutes and feel it immersed in a whole new world. So,
what were your comics growing up?
It started off with Superman, the death of Superman, the reign of Superman.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that kind of drew me in. I liked how it was a different art team, but each week the story continued.
Yes.
It wasn't like I had to wait a whole month. It was week after week. The story continued. There was one continuous story, and it was interesting.
So who was your favorite of the 4 Supermen?
I was particular to Steel.
Steel's a good one. Yeah, I mean, Steel was a badass.
Yeah, if it wasn't, I like this Toastmaster, Toast. I can't remember the name of the
Yeah, I loved his gimmicks. He was like a more down to earth Iron Man. I always dug Steel for that.
Yeah, and I also like Superboy because he was just funny. His humor. I like the art team on Superboy a lot. The Adventures of Superman.
Yes.
Each art team really spoke to the character, and each of them had to. With Dan Jurgens and Brett Breeding, they had like the classic Superman, which they had the cyborg storyline. Um, uh, I forgot the name of the art team. They just had a Kickstarter actually, but they did the Adventures of Superman, which had the Superboy.
I think that was the Carl. That was the Carl Kessel one, wasn't that?
Tom Gummett. That's who it was.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then Butch Geis. He did the action series, so he had the Eradicator, so it was more serious.
See, I was always I love like Silver Age, old school Superman. So I'm actually a big fan of the Eradicator. I kind of like him as a character.
He was my third favorite. My third favorite.
No one likes a cyborg. No one.
No, yeah, he was ugly, and he was kind of a punk. And, he took out Coast City. You know, he was rough.
No, it's. See, I love Silver Age Superman. I'm partial to Superboy and Legion of Superheroes. I really love that stuff. My hero of choice though is Green Lantern. I grew up. I'm a Green Lantern guy. So
let me ask you this: with that whole Reign of Superman story and Coast City and the whole thing with Hal Jordan after that, how'd you take that?
I thought they pussed out. I'm being very honest. Like I thought, okay, Hal Jordan is the quintessential Silver Age Green Lantern, and I think they were right to take him off the table. I grew up with Kyle. I love Kyle as a Green Lantern. And honestly, Hal Jordan as a character needed a break. They should have they should have killed him. This is what I think they should have done.
I think they should have killed him.
But no, hear me out. Because comics, here's the beautiful thing, right? Comics, you can always bring a character back from the dead, right? Yeah. So if it didn't work out, you could always just bring him back. Yeah. But the thing is, right? You made him a villain, so you kind of made a big betrayal of who he was.
His core character was betrayed.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, and I think, and here's the thing, right? I always this is my belief with continuity, with an arc on a character. You have to change direction sometime, yes. And then that's just, I think, a natural progression of any title, property. They all have to change from time to time. So if they do go back to a more classic look, it matters again. You have to do that. But you shouldn't punish your fans for being loyal, the ones that are still there, for being loyal for so long. My personal favorite, ironically, is Superman. My personal favorite capstone to like the silver to modern era is Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. It was perfect. The people that had invested in Superman up until that point got their ending. You got your happy ending. You moved on, and there you have a new Superman you can start all over again with. But if you don't, right, you got your payoff, right? Here's your payoff, right? I think first off, I do think the battle with Mongol, like Green Lantern versus Mongol in 46, was badass. I have that issue. It's one of the harder ones to find. But I thought what they should have done, what they legitimately should have done with him, is that if they were going to wipe the slate clean, which, okay, fine, they're going to wipe the slate clean, kill him. Have him fight one of the bigger villains. Like, have him fight Krona. Have him fight, one of the bigger Green Lantern villains. He goes out in a blaze of glory.
But that would have been so. I understand why they did it with them collecting all the rings, the Emerald, storyline. That's you've never seen that before.
It was different. Like
when did you see without him being without a main character being mind controlled or anything? When have you seen a historic character actually not just turn bad, but literally go after his own people like that?
Well, I thought, okay, now here's the thing. Would that have been more believable with Sinestro?
It would have been.
Right,
he faced Sinestro.
No, at the end, right? But would it have been a much more interesting story if he had been completely disillusioned and Sinestro had been the one going on the tear, and he stopped him, right, as a hero, and dies. You'd have the same...
But to me, that's more of the same. Think about how many people will always remember how Jordan...
I'm just saying.
And I think it had to happen like that for the success of Kyle Rayner.
Kyle.
If Kyle had, how else could have Kyle started off?
See, to me, because Kyle is Spider-Man. Kyle is Spider-Man in DC. He's the DC universe equivalent to Spider-Man. I think he would have been fine without Hal. I really do. I think he would have been just fine without Hal. I think he would have I think DC copped out of what they should have done with Hal. Just my opinion. Right. They copped out. They knew they needed to take that chance. I think they were right to take that chance. I think they were trying to hedge. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Is how I kind of see it. Right. Yeah. Right. Just make a decision. You can bring him back if it doesn't work out. Right. And in the meantime, you let Kyle have the stage by himself for a while and see what happens. Ron Mars and Daryl Banks did a great job with that run. That was
I wasn't really that much of a Green Lantern fan, honestly, until the Emerald Quest Zero event. And all of that with Kyle coming aboard.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. Like I said, it's just my, again, that's my take. I understood why Green Lantern fans were mad. Let's I never disrespected anyone's the Heat movement, if you remember that, right? Right. If you remember that, I understood why they were so angry. I really did, because it wasn't, again, Hal Jordan had been around for 30 years, right?
He had his time.
He had his time. And it was his time to. It was at that time. It was his time to get out. Like, you need to take the character off center stage, right? I just kind of look at it like, I guess my other one is Barry Allen, like the Flash, the original Barry Allen Flash. He got to go out as a hero, and Wally did just fine.
He did great.
Yeah, so that's pretty much my take. That all said, I mean, I love Kyle. Like, again, I do love that Green Lantern run. It's one of my. I still read Green Lantern to this day. I love. I'm enjoying Grant and Liam's take on him, on Hal. It's really fun. It's actually very old school, which I kind of enjoy. So it hits the nostalgia beat just enough, and then its own, and on the same token, its own weird little book. But you have a kid?
Yeah. That's the realness of my life. I have 5 kids actually.
5 kids, man. Okay.
Yeah. They all range in age. 4-month-old, a 2-year-old, who's the one you hear in the background right now.
Yeah.
4-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 14-year-old.
Oh wow! So, dude, you're outnumbered.
Oh yeah. Me and my wife are definitely outnumbered.
So how do you deal with it? I mean, they're trying to take over your house, man. That's their goal, and there's 5 of them.
That is their goal. Their goal is to monopolize all my time.
Yes,
that's literally their job.
That's their job, right? And I mean, it's easy. You can be kind of like, I think to some degree, and this is going to sound almost insulting. Parents have to be a little bit of a tyrant with their kids. They have to be, right?
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. So, but thing is, you got 5 of them. If they mutiny, what are you gonna do?
Well, you went over the older ones, so then it's not 5 on 2.
It's still 3 on 2, dude.
No. If the older one's on your side, now it's 4 on 3.
Ah, I see. You got propaganda going. I got you.
There you go. But yeah, it's challenging being a parent and a comic book creator. Some days it's just a wash where you can have the energy and but the time isn't there because your kids need you.
Yeah.
Some days you got the time, but you exhausted it on the kids. So then you just like, if I work on anything, it's not going to be good. So you just got to have that mental break for sure.
Well, and I think that's the way. I mean, it's the way it has to be. I mean, your kids come first. That totally makes sense, right? So you're gonna do that, and I mean, you obviously like having kids. You have 5 of them, so I mean, right?
Fairness years. I've been married since 2003.
Yeah, so
that's a long time to be married.
yeah, absolutely.
So those kids, they didn't all come right away.
No, and obviously no, they didn't. But I mean, it's. But again, you were ready to have your kids.
Yeah.
And,
We like our big family.
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's just, but I mean, but again, it means you gotta be, you have to be an adult sometimes.
Definitely.
So on the same token, though, I mean, your kids when they get recess, you kind of get it too.
Yep.
Yes. So I mean, and then you get to have fun stuff like creating creating comics. So, so you, I know you write them. Do you draw them too?
I am the creator. I am the writer, and I am the artist. I do the line work and colors, everything. So when people get these books, besides the variant covers, who are done by different artists, but I'm the one-man wrecking crew.
So you're like Terry Moore, one-man rock band.
Yeah.
So when did you decide to go, you know what, I'm going to take the plunge. I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to be the greatest comic book creator in the universe or something like that?
What happened was, like, back in 2013, I saw that that's when I discovered Kickstarter. I was like, are you serious? People are actually putting out their comic and getting it directly to people? Because my big thing was, I'm going to submit this pitch and I'm going to send it to Image. Besides the whole Reign of Superman and DC, like, Image, like, really, even when I just say the company Image, I get excited because when they debuted their books, they, like, changed everything.
Well, absolutely.
So, like, that was my goal. Like, put together a 7-page pitch, and I was going to send it to Image. So I was writing my story, getting it all set. And then I discovered Kickstarter, and I was like, what the heck is this site about? And I remember just checking out the comic section, and I backed it. I was like, I can back people's books, I can, I can buy direct from a creator, and I got to see more and more creators on there, and then, like, you back them, you meet them on Facebook or whatever online, and you start having these dialogues, and it's just like, well, if they can do it, what's stopping me from doing it as well, too?
Absolutely.
Actually, the story, it started off, it's the Pink Wing and the Prime Controller, they're based on my two oldest kids. So, Ruby and Duncan, they're based on my two oldest kids. That's not their real names, but that's the characters are based on them. And I would drive them to school on a regular basis, take them to school, and we have conversations about, if you were in a comic, what would your superpowers be? What would your names be? What kind of things you guys want to do in the book? If you were in a book, what would it be about? And we had to throw away some stuff because they're so, I want to be Spider-Man. No, you can't be Spider-Man. We're coming up with something new, And it was a lot of brainstorming, just talking to them, picking their brain, because it's definitely an all ages book. I wanted something where I didn't have, if like parents, we don't want to have to proofread everything. If a book is for kids or all ages, it should be clean. It should be
I agree
something
with that.
that doesn't have to have any editorial look at it from a parent. Like when I would go to comic book shops, like books that my kids wanted to read, I had to like say no to it or just take a look at it to double check. And I saw there's a market for it,
Absolutely.
And I'm a huge fan of Saturday morning cartoons and like all the funness about waking up on a Saturday and seeing these adventures happen, like Captain Nintendo. Just those adventures, Pirates of Darkwater, things like that, like just stick to me in my childhood. And
so you were like me, like you'd eat like Captain Crunch or something like that, and be watching like I still remember, like for me, I still remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like that's
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
So that's another huge one where it started off as a comic book.
Yeah.
A comic book, and It's definitely homages in my book. Definitely about my next story arc. Definitely has ninjas in it. It's actually called I Really Hate Ninjas, and it's just it's gobs and gobs of ninjas thrown at the heroes. But I gotta finish up my first story arc first before I can get to that one. But I grew up on ninjas, robots, and dinosaurs, man.
So your comics are gonna be ninjas, robots, and dinosaurs.
It's a lot of other things too, but it's definitely gonna have some of those things that I liked as a kid. Fun stuff.
So wow, you actually do sound like a little bit of a sweetheart, my friend. I mean, you did comics after your kids, which is just, I think, is cool. And you just hit my funny bone with just all the stuff you're homaging, because I grew up, we grew up under the same, pretty much, I think, the same kind of cartoons. So that's actually really cool. It sounds like you're having the time of your life.
Yes, I mean, I get to incorporate stuff I like in this book. I always like physics. I always like I remember being in high school and I was like in physics class and just studying all that kind of stuff. So the villain in the first story arc, it's called an evolutionary drone. They get sent to planets, and the drones themselves, they suck up matter and transforms matter, like natural resources, water, rocks. They transform that matter into mass, and that's where all these creatures are formed out. So you see these creatures in the book, and they're definitely devastating, and they can attack you. But the main threat, if you don't take it out, is the drone, because they can just you can beat up the creature, but it'll just suck up some more matter and just replenish its power.
It's almost like a variant of the Molecule Man, kind of almost. It's kind of cool though. So it sounds like you're having an awful blast. So you got enough material up for trades? Like, is this all trade paperback stuff, or it's floppy singles right now?
So these right now are floppy singles. It's 4 issues. I've seen some trades go at 4 issues, but I've based on what my kids can read. Kids want people who buy trades. They want some content. So right now, if I did do a trade on this, it would be 97 pages, and I want to beef it up a bit more before a trade is released.
At least one more issue.
I'm thinking 2 more.
Okay.
2 more.
Fair enough.
So a good 6-issue run before I do a trade.
Well, I do have it's a thought. This is I am certainly not trying to tell you what to do, because I don't pretend. Yeah. You know what you could do as a trade incentive? Make a story exclusive to the trade, and maybe not even necessarily a traditional comic book. Like something that uses all your skills, but give you the opportunity to try something a little different. And
so I know what you're going with. So besides, the story itself has 2 parallel stories going on. Besides the Pink Women Prime Controller, there's also this group in there called the Alliance in the book. And so for the trade, I was going to have some separate stories that are not in these 4 issues.
Okay.
Because eventually the Alliance and Pink Women Prime Controller meet up. And it's going to be a nice hero versus hero at first. But they're on their own parallel journey, and you can see it in the 4-issue arc where they you get to see a little bit of them, and it's mainly the kids, but you get to see a lot of the Alliance in there as well too. So I definitely you are very right about that. Trades definitely should have some incentive to buy. If you release a trade with just the same material that's in the single floppies, that's not doing your readers any justice. And I'm definitely all about supporting readers of the book.
Yeah, fair enough. So, most people don't realize this. Kickstarter's the number 3 or 2 place to get comics now, because there's a lot of good comics out in Kickstarter land. I actually have to not. I don't have the impulse control to stay off. When I go on Kickstarter, it's very easy to go on a spree. I'm not mature enough to handle it.
I'm the same way, honestly. Thank God it's spread over a couple different pay periods for me, but I'm at right now 18 books backed.
Wow.
It's not even, and that's me trying to not back so many.
Well, there's
I
no
have, like right now 303 or 304 backed, but it's usually not at spurts like this. It was just a lot of good books dropped recently, so
Yep. Like
I just couldn't help it.
yeah. So for me, for me, it's Badassical. Dirk Manning always does good stuff. I love Dirk Manning. I make fun of Kaylin Smith because her scowl makes me think she's going to take my lunch money, but she's actually an incredibly talented creator in her own right. And there's just a lot of good creators on Kickstarter doing amazing things. And you're like, I only have so much money. And also, I live in Canada, so my dollar's a bit of a joke. So.
I mean, I just had a big run of backed pledges to start the year off, and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna chill. But then people that like Killtopia, Aggregate, some of this is just like, well, I already got the first installment, and I like the story. I gotta continue on with it.
Yep. And then there's like people like Travis Hansen who just make their living off Kickstarter, and you're like, God damn it, stop making good stuff. I
backed that one too.
Yeah. No, again, there's a lot of good creators on Kickstarter at all times, and it's just like I can only buy so many books.
And it's not even like besides backing, it's almost like from afar mentorship. If you want to be a creator, you can look at what these creators are doing on Kickstarter. Like, really, you can see how they built their audience. You can see the content they're pushing out. You can see what readers want. You know, you don't copy them, but you can literally see. You can change what you do to fit. You know, what's going to be successful for you.
I'm going to be a thieving thief that thieves when I get to do my Kickstarter later on this year. I'm not lying. I'm stealing from. I'm stealing from all of you. All of you.
Definitely.
So I'll tell you what mine is coming. Like what I'm going to be doing. It's going to be closer to like late summer, fall. I have a book called The Stick Figure Revolution. I write stories. I don't draw very well. I draw so bad that my stick figures revolt, and I thought that would be an amazing story. Right? And here's the kicker. I tell it like a Dr. Seuss story. Because in my opinion, Dr. Seuss is one of the greatest graphic novelists of all time. A lot of people don't look at him that way, but I don't see why you wouldn't after looking at his books and kind of how they convey messages. It's like it's very much like a comic in a lot of ways. I'm like,
yeah.
So I wanted to do my take on Dr. Seuss, and I'm like, okay. I'm not saying it's anywhere near as good as Dr. Seuss because I'm an egomaniac, but I'm not that much of an egomaniac. But it's like. Yeah, so I'm going to be, when I get to the Kickstarter phase, I mean, I know which Kickstarters I really enjoy. I know which Kickstarters I don't enjoy. And really what it comes down to, I think, for the majority of it, is how you interact with your audience. Even if it's a small audience, it's how you interact with them.
Definitely. You gotta respect your readers. You gotta respect the people that appreciate your content. Definitely.
Yeah. So I guess, because you've done this a few times now, what is the biggest thing you've learned?
So I did my first campaign in 2015, and I should not have done it when I did it. I was very naive, and if it wasn't for like literally close friends and family, I would not have made my goal. I didn't have a concept of what Kickstarter was. I just had from a buyer's perspective how Kickstarter is used. But actually, as a content creator, I did not have the right approach to it. I was very lucky. I had an idea for a comic. I had concepts for a comic, but when I launched my campaign, my story wasn't final yet. I had 20 concept drawings and illustrations. And it was like, yeah, I want to make a comic. If I did make a comic, this is what it would be like. And no finished pages, nothing, just no finished piece of art.
Oh,
I had
God.
no idea how a finished panel would even look. And keep in mind, this is my first comic I've ever done before. I can draw, I can draw and write, but I've never done it before.
That must have been a hell of a crash course.
Yeah. It took a lot longer to get my book out. I redid the book. I redid the story. It was a lot longer. I'm like, wait a minute, I can't end this in 22 pages. That doesn't. Have your stuff done beforehand, people. Do not do a campaign wing it. I was lucky. Like I said, I had friends and family. They liked the book. I had some strangers that liked it too. They liked the series. The goal was 3,000. It raised $3,625. One thing I did do, I did my research on price points and how pledges should look, and how to get the sweet spot of that $25 markup. I wanted to have sketchbooks and original art, and that kind of evened out only having one issue available. And it took a lot longer than I thought, but I did constant updates. I did updates every month. I had artwork showing. People got to see. Actually, if you go to my first campaign, and I left all my updates public, so I wasn't hiding anything. You can actually see the comic books go from start to finish, like literally from start to finish. You can see the pencil work, the sketches, concept work. You can see it all, to the finished pages, to the going to the printer. It's like a good catalog of how I put that book together. And to make up for the time that it took, people got 3 issues versus 2, or really 2 right now. When they back this campaign, they're going to get that 3rd issue for free, and if they want issue 4. But to make up for being tardy, I gave them more content.
But you also were really smart. You kept interacting with your audience,
yes.
Which is very important.
Yes, constant updates. I wasn't going anywhere. I'm very active on Facebook. I was, I didn't do any conventions until the books was in people's hands. So that's just you take care of people that backed you.
Yes, and then also on the same token, you. Like I said, you just followed through on everything you did. I mean, it was. I'm sure that you'll never do a campaign quite like that ever again. But
no.
But you learned an awful lot, and it probably made you a better creator. Actually, all things considered.
Big time, definitely. So with this campaign, my goal was the same. Like I said, the first campaign, I hit the goal, I think, around 20 days in. But like I said, that's a lot of friends and family. Like, they knew I was into art. They know I like comics. Aunts, cousins, brothers, all chipping in, family, co-workers. This campaign has been no family at all. This is, straight. So this is like, I've done conventions off the 2 issues I had from the first campaign. I've built a mailing list. I kept in contact with those people who purchased my books. I have utilized that mailing list to keep up with people so they can see when it's going to drop. I use social media to let people know when it's going to drop. When the campaign itself, that's what I mean. When the campaign was going to launch, I'm showing finished art. I'm showing how the covers look, how different options, how you can be in the book, examples of that. If you're talking about a pledge, you should have an example of how that pledge is going to look. It shouldn't be just a description. People should be able to see it. So I'm talking about having a sketchbook. You can actually see a picture of that sketchbook that I'm offering. I'm talking about I can offer digital pinups for you. I'm showing examples of actual client work that indie comic creators have reached out to me and I've done pinups for.
All right, so I think we're gonna go past Kickstarter. I'm gonna ask a really, really, really loaded question here. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, what are your goals as a comic creator at this point in time? Do you want to keep establishing your own properties at this point? Do you want to work for a bigger company? What do you want to do?
I used to want to work for a bigger company, but I'm literally very satisfied making my own stories. I love writing. I've actually written comics for other people as well too, where other artists have taken over, and I've had artists reach out to me because they've read what I wrote. They want to work with me, which is like a huge compliment. So I'm ecstatic to just be an indie comic creator. Honestly, I would not work for a larger company on a project, but I definitely would not stop being an indie comic creator.
So you kind of want to be like a hybrid. You wouldn't mind being a hybrid creator, someone that's working for a company but also doing your own thing. But you always but you want to keep doing your own thing.
Definitely. There's a lot of freedom and flexibility. I don't want to have an editor say, we're paying you this amount of money, so you have to write this kind of story because this is what we want to see. I'm just like, well, if that's what you want to see, just do it yourself. I want some freedom. I'm working with a publisher now, and they gave me kind of like a skeleton book, rough of an idea of what they wanted the story to be, and they gave me freedom and flexibility. And anytime a writer has that and they like to write, they're going to give you the best. They're going to treat it like it's their own story. They're going to flesh it out way more than if they feel like it's not their own to work with.
No, there's something I said about when it's just a job versus like when it's like yours.
Yes, and even though this story's not mine, I treat it like mine. I treat it like it was mine, and it doesn't quite feel like a job though. That's the thing. Yes, and then I got to I know the artist that was going to be doing it. So, advice to any writer out there: if you can, talk to the artist and definitely find out what they like to draw, and find a way to incorporate that in your story somehow. You're going to have much better results as a team, because they're going to be happy, they're going to put the stuff in that you like, but you get to, they get to have some freedom in the story as well, too.
Well, it's just the fact, too, that a lot of people tend to forget that artists are incredibly creative people, too. And they actually can make your story better if they're involved in it from the ground up.
Yes.
Right? And there are creators, I won't name names, that are very uncomfortable with this, but the truth is, you're shooting yourself in the foot. I mean, the people you want to work with want the best possible product possible as well. Why not go to the different ideas?
And I am funded, just like that. I just double checked. I am.
High five, dude! Congratulations.
That is awesome. While on the podcast with you, I was just funded.
So this was your lucky podcast.
Yes. So that's a big difference.
First here, ladies and gentlemen, a Kickstarter was funded while recording.
So, big difference. I spent a lot of time building my online presence, letting people know I make comics. I am a comic book creator. If you go to my Facebook, it's not going to be much on there except the talk about comics. Other people's comics, my comic, and just life as a creator. Mm-hmm. The struggles, the successes, the do's and don'ts that have worked for me, how to work with others. This is a small community. Like, it's a lot of creators out there, but if you have a bad reputation of working with people, not paying people, trying to get over on people, it sticks with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to be a creator of my word and be truthful to myself. That's all I can say.
Well,
I try to be truthful to who I am as a creator.
At the end of the day, there's only really two things on this planet you own: your dignity and your self-respect. That's it. And if you and integrity is the key to keeping both.
Yeah.
But that is, that's a lesson a lot of people. I have 5 rules. Show up, do your stuff, don't quit, the rest is rain, and rule 5 is get out of your own way.
Yeah.
I find it works, but you got to follow through on each and every part of it. But anyway, I guess.
Well, no. One thing I've seen people try to do is like, I even had this idea. Like I'm just gonna have this amazing looking book, and then when people see it, they're gonna just want to buy it. No, it doesn't. It does not work like that.
It's actually fun.
It doesn't. It doesn't. You can have the most beautiful looking book, and people will just look at it and go, "Oh, that looks nice," and keep on walking by.
Absolutely. Well, you have to care. Like, I mean, there's a bit that, like, look, a sale's like this. What's your book, right? Who are you? What's your book about? And why should I care? And if you can answer all three of those questions, you'll probably get a sale. But you have to be able to answer those three questions. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Yeah. Well, so how are you gonna celebrate? You're a successful Kickstarter funding.
Man, launched on Friday, funded on a Sunday.
That's right. 2 days.
Next time I'll just have a 5-day campaign.
That's right. Well, you got to do stretch goals.
Yeah, I got some good ideas for some stretch goals. That's not gonna push the book production back any.
Yeah, that's cool. So, hey, listen, man. From me to you, congratulations for another successful run. And I think I don't know. Do you think we have a good interview, Mr. Ramel?
I think so. So I appreciate you reaching out. This is my first, actually.
This is your first podcast?
Yes, sir.
I just gotta let you know, there's nothing quite like me. As you can tell, I took myself very serious the whole way through.
No, this is more like just two guys hanging out as opposed to
exactly
a podcast.
Well, I find questions aren't the most productive way to do an interview. Oddly enough, it's more if you know more about a person if you actually talk to them, right? So, 2 last questions. And then we'll wrap up the interview. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What's your favorite thing to draw?
Favorite thing to draw?
I ask every illustrator this question. So.
People. I like drawing people, faces. I like facial expressions. It captures the emotion of the story. That's one thing that people notice right away when they see my drawings, when they see the books. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of
nuance.
I like the faces. I like drawing expressions.
Yeah, that's important. Eyes, then, big thing for you.
Yeah, eyes and mouths. Expressive. They can really help out with making talking heads not seem boring.
Okay. I think that's good. That's really interesting. I'm always fascinated with people myself. It's kind of why I do what I do. So here comes the second point. So I know you're funded, but I figure you still kind of want to plug your Kickstarter. I can.
Definitely.
So why don't you plug what your book's about, where people can find you and your Kickstarter, and we'll call it an interview. How does that sound?
Sounds great. I'm on Kickstarter right now. I have 27 days left. I want to get some stretch goals out to people. I like content. My Kickstarter campaign, if you look at it, it's about reading comics. I don't have anything kind of too goofy on there besides comics and comic book related items. It's an all ages book. It's a little mix between Teen Titans with some sci-fi action. It's a brother and sister duo, Ruby and Duncan Price. They get recruited to be defenders of the planet Earth. The planet is being invaded by these things called evolutionary drones. They are weapons of mass destruction sent off by a mysterious alien race. And these things, they work as satellites and also like weapons of mass destruction. They suck up matter, turn that matter into mass, and these monsters are created. The heroes are recruited by an alien. Her name is Sage. She's got a mysterious connection to these alien drones. We find out later, but she's recruiting the team to help. And there's other planets involved in the first story arc as well too. This is a intergalactic battle that these kids are going to be on. I'm on Kickstarter. If you just search Pink Wing, Even that just name right there, Pinkwing, you'll see me. It's Pinkwing and the Prime Controller, issue 1 through 4 on Kickstarter right now. I am on Facebook. Just type in Ramel Hill, Ramel. Last name is Hill, Hill. You'll see me. I'm very active in the indie community. I support like crazy. I rep like crazy. If you have a campaign, I've either seen it or maybe have backed it already. I like good stories. I don't just like buying indie comic books. I actually like reading indie comic books and actually having conversations with those creators about their books. Just telling them what my feedback was, what was good, what was what I thought will make it even better next time. I'm an advocate for people being themselves.
That's damn cool. All right, hold on a sec here. And that was my conversation with Ramel Hill. His Kickstarter is going on right now. He's been funded, but he's got stretch goals coming up that are going to be really awesome and amazing. And I hope this was a very educational conversation about Kickstarter in particular. I don't talk about Kickstarter too much on here in this regard, and this was actually really, really refreshing. And Ramel's a cool dude. Ramel, listening to this, Ramel, you are welcome anytime you'd like, man, to come on back and do this again. I'm happy to have you. And that'll do it for this episode of Just Joshing. So you can support this podcast a number of different ways. I'm going to do this one first because I forgot this last episode. My Patreon is live. Patreon.com/JustJoshingPodcast. Feel free to contribute to the monthly, my monthly goals with this podcast. I'm constantly creating new content all the time. I have a Facebook page, Joshua Pantellaresco, author podcaster, there, along with the patrons, where you're going to see all my projects in advance, right? And also what my next giveaway is going to be, that sort of thing. Also, when I get new sponsors. And yes, things are going to come in that direction as well, hopefully very soon. So those are the places you can go first. Second off, my podcast is on every player, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, you name it, I'm there. I'm on Podomatic. Feel free to join, subscribe, rate, review, do all those things, and pass along the show, because I'm really proud of this show and what this has been able to do. And I want to continue to keep doing so. So please do this. Tell your friends. It's awesome. My books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, currently out through Mirrorworld Publishing. Definitely go check them out. They have my books there. You can get there. Amazon, Kobo, you name it. My books are there. You can support me that way if you'd like. My YouTube channel is Joshua Pantellaresco, and there is currently going to be 140 episodes on there shortly, and I keep growing from here on in. Some really cool guests are being uploaded right now. Michael Plested, Terry Moore, and more are going up there right now. Most of my early episodes are just about on now, which is really, really cool. Above all else, though, thanks very much for listening, guys. I'll see you guys next week. Stay inspired. Keep being you.
Josh. Shush.